Manchester.
Every player knows in our club that it is important for us. And every player knows who has played last Sunday that we were poor and that he cannot accept that.
For much of the season, Arsene Wenger's been wearing the puzzled look of a golfer whose swing isn't working quite like it used to. A long injury list hasn't helped. Neither has the diplomatic incident with Nigeria that's been threatening to deprive Arsenal of their languid maverick.
Kanu has not played one game for Nigeria in the last 3 or 4 years, and suddenly they cannot live 24 hours without him in a training camp. For me, it just looks disrespectful for us, for what Arsenal has done for the player and for Nigeria. We will respect the rules, but I just think it would be one more ridiculous example of the rules of the FIFA.
This was Arsenal's big triumph of '99, a £12 million training centre designed by Wenger where the appliance of football science is unparalleled. But evolution means change. On New Year's Day, Lee Dixon and Nigel Winterburn were free to speak to other clubs. Maybe it was no coincidence that both spent most of Christmas on the bench.
Tell me the big teams all over Europe and look at the age of their players. You will not find many Lee Dixon and many Nigel Winterburn. And they still can perform, but as well I have to prepare the future of the club and of the team, and to think if something happens to them at some stage, the club is still to go on and to perform well.
So if Arsenal are to begin the 21st century adding to their roll of honour, it seems much will depend on the character of their foreign bodies. Wenger's side can now be more multinational than Gianluca Vialli's, but like Chelsea, it's getting up for every game that's been the problem.
Sometimes you have to learn that. You have to know, you have to fight all the time again, not only against the strong team. You have to keep the good way, not sometimes good and sometimes bad.
Once you have performed, you have a good team, and you have great players, you have to accept to be under pressure. What is the terrible thing in our job is not to be under pressure for me, because that means nobody expects anything from you.
Do you think, after all that is on top of him right now, David Beckham should be playing his football abroad and he might be a better player if he was abroad?
No, because what is important for a player is that he plays at the top level. And with Beckham being at Man United, he's at the top level.
It's Beckham! Fabulous goal!
For him, he's under more pressure domestically than playing abroad. But football-wise, for me, he's in the right team.
From what you've seen, would you rather be there in Brazil or here?
No, I would rather be here. It's the start of a new history of football, but it's not quite convincing yet.
The first weekend in January is about the wind, the rain and the FA Cup for Arsenal, but those absent friends will still be in their thoughts tomorrow, guaranteed.
Yes, I saw the game against Manchester United in FA Cup when Dennis missed the penalty. But you have to be hurt sometime, because like that you can go forward.
You are still upset about that?
Still?
Still. You never forget, I never forget the games I lost in my career, and I will never. It's important for the club, the FA Cup, because to think what we have done over the last 2 years, there were some exciting games, some exciting moments, and we want to be part of it.
So Arsenal against Leicester is ITV's live match tomorrow. Join Desmond Lynam at Highbury. The programme begins at 3:30 and includes the draw for the 5th round. Well, Barry, the issue of whether or not Kanu will be playing tomorrow hasn't been decided. They haven't had word yet. But we have to say that Arsene Wenger is going to have to plan to be without him.
He's got to. He's got to have a team in place exactly without Kanu, because as far as he's concerned, at this moment, he's going to be travelling away. He's going to be travelling to meet up with a Nigerian team in Spain. And I think it's not criminal, that's too strong, but it's completely out of order. Arsene Wenger said in the piece there, he's got Kanu back to top form. He spent a lot of time, a lot of patience, invested a lot of money. He pays his salary. He's got him up to top international form again, and they're stealing him all for the sake of a few hours. They need him to report in 14 days. I mean, that's not right. For the sake of a few hours, he can report. It's still 13 days before the game. But I've got to say that Arsene Wenger is obviously taking the FA Cup very, very seriously.
He has, and we might see a few changes as well in this Arsenal side, because he said last year that the old guard eventually will get too old and he will make changes, and we've just heard there, you know, about Winterburn and Dixon, but we expect to see those changes tomorrow?
Well, he's been talking about it, hasn't he? But I think this is the first time he's actually left them out of the side when they've been fit. Nigel Winterburn might be fit tomorrow. He might play tomorrow, sorry. But I think Lee Dixon would probably still be out the side. And they are knocking on, the age-wise. They are, you know, there's a few years between the back four. I do feel tomorrow, though, whether they're in or out the side, it's going to be a very tight game. I think Leicester are a strong team. They've got themselves back on the rails after they got a good result at Everton. They've got Emile Heskey back in the side. I think this will be a fast, tough, competitive, edgy game with a few tackles flying about.
Well, if we're talking about the back four being an interesting area for Arsenal with Emile Heskey as well, that's going to be where we're going to see a few battles, aren't we?
Yeah, we are, and I don't think David Seaman's having his best spell as a goalkeeper. I think he's had a little bit of a... The problem with Arsenal is, I mean, they're inconsistent. They're up and down. They're conceding goals more than they used to. They can score goals, but it's just not right, the team. I think that's why Arsene Wenger's looking to...
Arsene Wenger had won an important battle going into the game, with Kanu available for selection before flying off to join his Nigerian teammates for the African Nations Cup. Commentary comes from Ian Crocker.
After all the fuss over whether or not he'd be allowed to play, Kanu only makes the bench as Davor Suker gets the nod. Martin Keown's a rather useful replacement for Tony Adams. Lee Dixon returns with Oleg Luzhny dropping out. In the absence of Mark Overmars, there's a rare start for German midfielder Stefan Malz. Leicester have problems up front. Emile Heskey is back from a ban, but he has flu and is unlikely to finish the game. Tony Cottee has a calf problem, so Matt Elliott continues in the striking role that brought him 2 goals at Everton. Key men Flowers, Izzet and Guppy are among the injured. Mike Riley is the man in charge at Highbury today. He should have been officiating at Tranmere against Sunderland yesterday, but there was a late change. He's probably rather glad that there was. It's the 10th FA Cup tie between these two teams, and Leicester City have yet to record a win. Arsenal will be hoping it stays that way here at Highbury today. Silvino, here's Vieira. Patrick Vieira slipping it through to Ljungberg. Here's Davor Suker. His first touch let him down, and that is very unusual for Davor Suker. Arsenal breaking here as Petit finds Henry. Suker has made up so much ground to get into the middle. There he is! Oh! Just taken away from him. And credit once again to Darren Eady. And Arsenal building from the back rather neatly as Silvino and Petit combined. And now Ljungberg, and now Vieira. And here's Dixon. Magnificent move this from Arsenal. And Lee Dixon thought about going for glory. Oh, Heskey has been caught by Martin Keown, and he will be rather fortunate to escape a card here. I think it's just going to be a warning for Martin Keown. He is going to book him. Silvino's throw. Henry leaving it for Petit. Sinclair cut out the supply line to Suker. But there's Lee Dixon on the volley. Trying something spectacular. Captain today, in the absence of Adams. Arsene Wenger is warming up the Nigerian international Kanu. Finally given special permission to figure in this match today. Not starting it though. Here's Savage. And Zagorakis losing out to Vieira, as many have before him. Now it's Ljungberg, and it opens up here for Arsenal. And Darren Eady is going to be the latest to be booked here. Eady taking out Ljungberg, and he becomes the 6th player to be shown a yellow card in this game. This is Emmanuel Petit! Oh, and it was well collected in the end by by Petit. Keown helps it on to Vieira. Petit. And Arfixard. Oh, he's cannoned off his own man, Sinclair. And it's smothered by the keeper. Well, he always seems to be smiling. Neil Lennon makes way. And on comes Ian Marshall, who has been there, seen it, and done it in his career. Can he do it for Leicester City today? Arsenal also making a change. And here he comes. After the saga of whether he would make it or not, he is going to make an appearance. John Fashanu played a part in that, in his role as Nigerian sports ambassador. Kanu comes on for Maltz, and you just wonder whether he's meant to do the business. Elliott floats it up towards Marshall. Thumped away by Grimondi. Walsh's header might bounce in favour of Henry. Oh, and Savage there caught Kanu. The advantage played because Ljungberg has it. And here's Shuka, and Taggart's challenge had to be timed right, and it was. But Robbie Savage has been shown a yellow card for that challenge on Kanu. His corner, and Ljungberg with a free header, which he did not make the most of. And he didn't really even come close to making the most of it, in truth. Edie. Arsenal breaking now, and it's Ljungberg to Kanu. Was he obstructed? It may not matter. Spectacular save as Shuka's effort was pushed away by Arfixard. Walsh. Oakes. Challenged by Petit, deemed unfair. Oh, Darren Eadie here is in trouble. Now Darren Eadie is on a yellow card. It is he who's been booked. And Mike Riley has just realised that. And Leicester are down to 10 men. Well, it's been a bit of a yellow card fest. 9 were handed out, and you kind of thought it was all leading to a red, and the red comes for Darren Eadie. We think Darren Eadie was sent off. Apparently, just for nudging the ball away. It's all over. A quite magnificent defensive display from Leicester City. They survived with 10 men after the bizarre sending off of Darren Eadie. Arsenal held at Highbury in a game that was a real battle. What is it you're lacking?
I would say a little bit more aggression, a little bit more commitment, and a little bit more cup desire up front, and we haven't got that today. And of course, when you don't have that against a team like Leicester, who was physically quite strong, and just wanted to keep a clean sheet, it is difficult because small things make a difference at that level.
Second half, when we were very, very tired, and they kept coming at us in droves, and you think they're going to breach us any moment. But the lads stayed very, very firm. They've thrown everything at it. You know, the body and the edge of the penalty box, feet, everything, legs, the lot, and we've survived. And I think that we deserved it.
The sending off appeared to be a little harsh.
It was. I think I don't share that mind. I think it's my players or the players who, I don't remember the first yellow card he got, maybe he didn't deserve the first one, but you cannot accept that the players went free kick against them, run away with the ball, and that nothing is given. Is it Leicester or is it Arsenal or somebody else? And I believe as well that Savage should have been off the field just before.
as he's picked up the ball anyway to go back a yard or two, actually Vieira's pushed him forward to try and get the ball, and one of those particular situations where they want to hurry up, and the momentum carried him on an extra yard or two. So eventually he's maybe covered 8-9 yards. But there's been nothing. It's every single week that's happening, every single week, and it's not a yellow card offence, or I suppose maybe depending on the referee. But it was poor. That sort of thing is just not good enough.
Well, after the excitement at Main Road, it was a bit disappointing at Highbury.
Drab would be an understatement. It was a very poor game. I mean, I actually saw Leicester City at Everton on Monday night, and they're a very functional side. They're a difficult team to beat. I think they had a blip, didn't they, over Christmas? They lost 4 consecutive league games. I think Martin was determined that they would just readdress the balance after such a good start to the season. And they're a very hard side to play against. An Arsenal fan, that Arsenal really weren't any creative best. There was no flow to the game, and it was very disappointing.
Leicester were missing players. Cotty, Flowers, Impey, Guppy, is it? Important players.
Well, it is, and it's a big loss. I mean, Martin actually hasn't used too many players up till perhaps 4 weeks ago. Now he's having to call on the likes of Stefan Oakes, Zagorakis, who hasn't really been a regular in the side. Matt Elliott's had to play up front. He started up front, ended up at the back. So, you know, they've had to juggle a very, very threadbare squad, and they've done very well with it.
So Martin O'Neill actually perhaps be pleased with a replay, but Arsene Wenger, you don't often hear him saying his team lacked commitment, cup desire and a bit of aggression.
Yeah, I think he'll be disappointed with that performance, because I think everybody was expecting Arsenal to turn Leicester over. Of course, they've done it twice this season in the league, and everybody would have expected them to beat them again today. But it's quite a determined Leicester City side, and I think that Arsenal weren't firing. I think he was looking for somebody somewhere to provide a spark, and that didn't happen from the home side.
Well, the pre-match talk, of course, was about Kanu. Would he, wouldn't he? He did. He didn't provide that spark, but the controversy actually came, of course, with Darren Eadie sending off.
Yeah, and I think it's a number of incidents that we're going to talk about during the course of the programme, and it highlights a referee. It's a ball, actually, that starts with Stefan Oakes in midfield, and there you can see Patrick Vieira clearly pushes him over. And look at the referee's position. That, for me, Mike Riley has got an absolutely first-class position to make really a free kick for Leicester City. He doesn't, and it really rolls on from there. It's a tackle there on Petit that he finally blows from, and this is where Darren Eadie really then just gets caught. As Martin says, you see it week in, week out. He makes a blip again, Mike Riley, because he doesn't realise that that's the second time he's booked Darren Eadie.
Play continues.
Yeah, it does, and then he sort of brings the play back, issues the yellow card, and that's a harsh decision. It really is a harsh decision. There's far worse than that goes on week out, week out, and really there he goes. He doesn't travel too far from the incident, but very pedantic refereeing in my view.
There were a few chances in the game.
When?
That we could talk about.
Yeah, I mean, this again is another incident that Arsene actually points to a little bit later, but you know, Robbie Savage, if you're talking about time wasting, that for me is as pedantic as Darren Eadie's. But Mike Riley runs away. He'd already booked Robbie Savage, and Savage, of course, was involved in an incident that Arsene Wenger felt was very unsavoury, was certainly not necessary. Martin O'Neill has vowed to look at it again, but this is an incident affecting our man Kanu again, isn't it? And
absolutely.
He's very much in the thick of the action, but there you can see there a tackle that scrapes him down his shin, but I think a 0-0 is a fair result. I hope that the replay will be better. I'm sure that Leicester will, on their home match, will have to go out and try and win the football match. Arsenal, I believe, will perhaps benefit from the space that they may be afforded at Filbert Street. It should be a far better game.
Let's just jog it on slightly. Davor Suker received a booking in that game. That rules him out of the Manchester United League match. Yep. Kanu will be off at the African Nations Cup. Yep. Bergkamp and Overmars are injured at the moment. I know the 24th of January is some way away, but is it looking a bit threadbare in the cupboard for striking options for Arsenal? Yeah,
it is. I mean, goals have actually come reasonably well for Arsenal this year. I think defensively they've just struggled really, and I think that when you look at the lack of firepower that they may take to Old Trafford, and let's face it, a huge game for both sides, then I think that Arsenal will be hoping that Mark Overmars and Dennis Bergkamp can overcome those injury problems.
So Arsenal and Leicester to do it all again.